Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Friedman is a certified speaking professional. He is a sought-after professional speaker and author of Happily Ever After. As a motivational humorist, Scott inspires and entertains his audience with engaging, interactive, and content-rich programs. He's the founder of Together We Can Change the World Foundation and served as the past president of National Speakers Association of America. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us welcome Mr. Scott Friedman with a round of applause.
No? Well, it's a minor miracle that I'm here today with Together We Can Change the World after all those email exchanges. I kind of feel sorry for the board to have to put up with all the, let me get back to, I need to talk to the board. Did he really call? Did he check, or was he just like, was it just a way to put me off? All right, I'll just check. Okay, how many of you have a smartphone with you? Okay, almost everybody? Okay, take out your smartphone. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. I want you to open up Facebook and like 3 things. Ready? Go. Open up Facebook and read through your wall, things that are coming in, and I want you to like 3 things. And as soon as you have like 3 things, raise your hand. 1, 2, up, there we go. Yep, oh. Okay. Oh. How long did that take? About 5, 6, 10 seconds, right? That's about the amount of time you have before your audience says, you know what? I think what's out there on the World Wide Web, my Facebook, maybe check into LinkedIn or Instagram, I think I've had enough after 5 seconds. So today it's harder than ever to grab your audience's attention. You're facing so much stimuli at their fingertips with a smartphone that, number one, you gotta be good. You gotta be engaging. So we're going to talk about that in a minute or two. But you can't hear? There's a buzzing.
He's trying to fix the mic.
Oh, he's trying to fix it. Thank you. Okay. I thought you were shaking your head at me like, no, you don't have to be good. I've never been good. Look at you. But that wasn't that wasn't the case. You've never been good. What are you talking about? Okay, so I just made a few notes with me today, and there's a couple things I need to cover. Stop for a sec.
No, that's okay.
Oh, you're talking. Okay.
Where the feedback's coming from.
Where the feedback's okay. Oh, people are making faces at me, waving at me. Lloyd's picking on me. It's a lovely. All right, so I want to look at 5 different ways to build a global speaking business. So first, do what it is that brings you joy. I was on an airplane from Denver to Nashville. Sitting next to a guy, and we started talking, and I said, what do you do? He said, I am a musician, and we make albums. I go, oh, really? I said, anybody I would have heard of? He says, I would guess so. I said, well, what are some of your songs? He said they wrote Born to be Wild and A Magic Carpet Ride. Can anybody tell me who that is? Want me to sing it? Wild, bum, ba-na-na. Nice. Yeah, you know the songs, but John Kay of John Kay's Steppenwolf. He said, I'm John Kay of John Kay Steppenwolf. I said, oh, I've heard of Steppenwolf, just not John Kay Steppenwolf. Well, I guess the band really is called John Kay. But we started chatting, and he said that he prices the band's services around what he calls the joy and hassle factor. He said in the summertime, kids are out of school. He loves to be home at his ranch in Nashville, Tennessee, so the price of the band goes up in the summer because it's a hassle to leave Nashville. He said he'd much rather be at home. Wintertime, kids are back in school, no big deal to travel, hassle factor is lower, so the price of the band goes down. Now, of course, we have to offer value as professional speakers, but it does beg the question, how can you up your joy factor and lessen the hassle factor? See, I'm a firm believer that I think our careers are tools to create whatever lifestyle we would like to lead, a chance to hang out with the people that we love, and a chance to make a difference in whatever unique way you want to make a difference in the world. So, I love traveling the world. I have no kids, I've never been married, and it's fun for me to be on the road. I like to be on the road 225, 250 days a year. I've chosen Southeast Asia as one of my markets. I want to be here about 110, 120 days a year. I want to be in the Middle East maybe 15 or 20 days a year. I want to speak all around America, Canada, the rest of the globe, 70, 80, 90, 100 days a year. I don't need to be home more than 100 days a year. So first, I've defined what my perfect world is for me. And I think that's what you need to do. You know, there's so many different business models today for professional speakers. The first is defining what works for you. If you had a choice, I would like to do part facilitation. I would like to spend, maybe have 4 coaching clients. Maybe I would like to create online learning platforms because I want to spend more time at home with my kids. All right? What creates your perfect world? That's number 1. I have a friend, John Cilio, who is a member of National Speakers Association, lives in Colorado, has 2 lovely kids. They're in high school now, and he gets along with his kids in high school, which many don't. So he figures since he's so rare, he would like to spend a little bit more time at home. So he's spent a good deal of time coming up with security. Cilio on Security makes a good deal of his money through online platforms. That way he can stay at home a lot more with his kids. Number 2, way to build a global speaking empire, whatever your definition of empire may be, is to get good. And this is the most important. It would seem pretty obvious that you need to get good from the platform. You need to be a good speaker with a good message, truly offer value to your audience. Too many speakers spend too much time on the social media piece of it, on the marketing piece of it. I loved it when people say, "Hey, how's your career doing?" One of my standard comebacks is, the marketing is doing great for me, but the word of mouth is killing me. And they go, "Really?" And I go, "No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad." But, so it's what the word of mouth is. What are people saying about you in your talks? Because that really is your very best form of marketing. Right? Is to, number 1, get good. Dale Carnegie said, the difference between a good speaker and a great speaker is 1,000 speeches. So it's just getting out there, and I recommend taping every talk that you give, and as much as you possibly can is to go through those talks, see where the audience responded, where they didn't, what you felt comfortable with, and your talk, 500 talks in or 300 talks in, is an evolution of all the ideas and the way the audience responded to you, the way that you felt along the way. And, one day you will have a wonderful product, but it takes a while. And if you're fresh, if you give it fresh every time you speak, then you will help grow your career, grow yourself, and sure enough, over time, hopefully you'll create a good speaking career. All right, I think that the true key to success in speaking comes down to 3 words: authenticity, vulnerability, and humility. Do you have those 3 characteristics? Are you willing to be authentic from the platform? Are you vulnerable? Can you tell your story in a way that allows the audience to get to know you better and lets them see into your life where your pain has been and what you've learned from that pain? Are you vulnerable? Can you share? Can you let me in? And then, Are you humble? Do you have that humility piece? I've seen too many speakers around the world that they may tell 3, 4, 5 stories during their talk, and they are trying to tell you how great they are. I see that actually more in Southeast Asia, not so much here in the Philippines, more in India, China, Singapore, even Malaysia, where you'll hear them tell stories of how they've accomplished these great things, but there's really no self-effacing humor or humility. I remember George Bush, when he was president of the United States, the approval ratings were great for a while, and then they went down in second term because they thought he was just too much of a little bit too arrogant. So he was coached to a little self-effacing humor, poke a little bit of fun, smile, kiss a few more babies. He was in Canada, and an interviewer asked me, he says, how were you received here in Canada? He said, it was one of the very first countries they've waved at me with all 5 fingers. It was just a kind of a way of poking fun at himself. The great leaders are humble leaders. You look at Donald Trump, how humble he is. And that's why he's such a great leader. Why everybody loves him is because of that sense of humility. Okay, he's got the authenticity, he has no vulnerability, and he has no humility. That's why so many of us... okay, well, a topic for another day. Or maybe not, I don't know. So authenticity, vulnerability, and humility. Especially humility when you're telling your stories. And we'll get to that in just a moment's time. And Lynn said something that reminded me of something that resonated with me. She said, I've never really looked at myself as a speaker, more of a learning facilitator. And I think the evolution of professional speaking in the last 20 years, we've gone from being professional speakers to become facilitators of learning. I think the term training is out of date. It's more of a facilitator of learning. I like to say to my audiences that there's a lot more wisdom in front of me than there is in front of you. I mean, pretty obvious in my case, but for others. But so it's really, as a trainer especially, how do you tap into the expertise in the room? If you have a lot of expertise, if you have a lot of people, and most of the time there is going to be obviously more wisdom in front of you, is there a way that you can tap into that wisdom and so that everybody leaves smarter? Everybody leaves with a lot of value gained during the day. As a speaker, and Paul was alluding to this, you come from one of 3 places. Either you're self-centered, you're content-centered, or you're audience-centered. Self-centered is when you're there to shine, you're there to look good, Am I going to get a standing ovation? Does the audience love me? And this is usually the speakers that lack a little bit of humility, that care much more about their own performance and themselves than they do about their audience. Content-centered is when, okay, my topic is 674 ways to show you how social media can improve your career, and I'm not done until all 1,674 of them I ram down your throat, basically. But audience-centered is when you have a message. You're there to deliver value, but you're not there to control your audience. You're more there to ask what we have in common. And you're willing to adjust based on what happens in that encounter and truly paying attention to what's going on at the time to know if you may need to segue into something else. But you truly care about giving value and making a difference to the people that are in the room. That's being audience-centered. Okay. Okay, next is taking advantage of social media. And I think Lynn said it very well that, you could spend the rest of your life on social media and do nothing else if you want to. And people tell you, oh, you need to have a blog and you need to do all those things. But really, it's whatever brings you business. At the end of the day, it's how you monetize your social media. I spend more time on LinkedIn than anywhere else. Facebook is kind of more for fun for me, even though I give my clients a glimpse into my life by asking them to be friends on Facebook or business page and personal page, because I think I think we work in an industry where, we love what we do. We love the people in the industry. We love our clients, hopefully. So we like to spend time with them. So there's a very narrow line between friendships and business relationships. And that's the way I like it. So, and hopefully you do too. And if not, then you can draw that line, whatever works for you. But so that's where Facebook comes in. But LinkedIn, I think their search engine is so good today that you can build a great business by writing articles on LinkedIn and other places in social media. And also, people they always say, hey Scott, how do you get more speeches in Singapore? How do you do more in Malaysia? I said, it's so easy today. I mean, just go into the organizations that you want to target or the industry you want to target. Go on LinkedIn. Just put a few keywords there. HR director, Kuala Lumpur. It's amazing the things that will come up in the search engines of LinkedIn. I build my business offline by, Lynn again mentioned, everybody has a different feeling about speaking for free. If I can get on an HR conference like the HR Summit in Singapore, where they have anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 people in your audience, and they're representing many different organizations, and I can do a good job in front of that group, I get 2 or 3, 4 spin-off engagements, that's worth my time. So if you want to speak in a certain country, target HR conferences if your message is appropriate. Target Chamber of Commerces, not just the Philippine Chamber of Commerce necessarily in other cities. I target the American Chamber in the countries I go to. I look for the British chambers. British councils are big in most countries. Australian Chamber of Commerces. You don't have to necessarily be from that ethnicity to take advantage of those Chamber of Commerces. I do hotel trades. Hospitals are a wonderful way. Service organizations in those countries. And I try to, when we do our Together We Can Change the World tours, and Lloyd made a lot of fun at TWCCTW, in a good way. I know you meant that, one of the things that we do is we partner with hotels, but we can also do that on our own. We do trade outs and then we do training for the hotels, but I like to do that on my own as well, to do some training at a hotel and then get free rooms. It's a wonderful way to be treated well, as well as to get to know the community and be able to ask questions if it's a new country you're speaking in for the first time. All right, become a great storyteller. Now, storytelling touches the emotions, which is truly the link to your audience that they will remember you and your message. Storytelling transcends cultures. If you can tell universal stories that tap into families and emotions or situations that everybody has been in, then you'll do better as a speaker. Speaking of humor, in humor, less is more. You want to get to your point as quick as possible. The biggest mistake people make when trying to tell humor or in storytelling is they try to give you too much of the story. We do a thing in our mastermind group, 6 of us speakers that come together. We play half the words exercise. If you had to tell this same story in half the words, what is it that you would have taken out? Look at Lloyd's masterful intro today, that email exchange between him and I. Notice that he started off very funny, right? For the first 30, 45 seconds. 14, 20 minutes into that thing, it lost a little bit of its luster. What if he had said, okay, I'm going to cut that little monologue in half at the beginning? Would it have been more effective? Yeah. First, you have to have the humor to deliver it. And obviously, Lloyd's very, Lloyd with 1 L or 2, very well skilled and with that. But very important, less is more. The punchline has to be bigger than the build-up. All right, so look for that in your stories and challenge yourself to cut out as many words as you can. And then lastly is collaborate. And the reason I did hound Lloyd and wanted to be here today, it really isn't about Together We Can Change the World, even though Jana's going to tell you a little bit more about it in a little while, and I would love for you to join us on a trip or to visit some of our causes here in the Philippines at some point. But it's really about the people. I mean, Raju introduced me to the Philippines 12 years ago. The first one that introduced me to Sarah Lee. Sarah Lee and I have been wonderful partners now with Together We Can Change the World at ITD for over a decade now. Some of the friendships that we made. Matthias, where'd Matthias run off to? Is he back? Matthias, he spends half his time here now, and May, hi May, or Marianne. They've been on a Together We Can Change the World trip before, good buddies. And of course all my Together We Can Change the World, community. I mean, that's my life today. I mean, I love spending time with my community. I love serving, and I love speaking. So if you can give me that, I'm pretty happy along the way. The quality of life is determined by the quality of our relationships. And we're all angels, but with only one wing, and only by embracing each other, we fly. Thank you.